So as I sat down to get ready for work today, I thought, why don't I take you along with me and show you the makeup look that I tend to put on when I'm not filming, even though I'm filming, but I wasn't planning on filming. Let's just get barefaced and put on some makeup. So today's just going to be kind of chill, put on some makeup, and we'll chat a little bit. I don't know what we'll talk about. I don't have anything planned or bullet pointed out or anything, so we'll just see how this goes. It might just end up being a rambly mess, but let's get this hair out of the way. And I already have on my skincare, my sunscreen that I am reviewing in another video for today, and you'll see that one. If it's up already, I'll link it down below. And I'm not going to put a primer on because I'm actually using the sunscreen as my primer today, which is something that it claims it can do. And I think I'll use my Pout products today. If you don't know what Pout is, I'll link that one down below too, and you can check it out. But it stands for Project Use Up the Dribs and Drabs. And so I have 5 products that I am trying to use up the last little bit in. This is my Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation in 030, and I cannot use the little stopper. So I take out the stopper and I just turn it over and shake out what I can on my little palette there. I don't know how much is left in here, but there's not much. And then just put that on, dab it around. I have some errands to run today before I go to work. I have to go down and pick up my new contacts, and I have the hardest time keeping track of makeup sponges. Anyway, the problem I have with pouring it is that I almost always get too much on the palette. And so I feel like I end up wasting half of it. But I guess bright side of that is I'll use it up faster. So we're just going to pounce this in with this sponge. This is the sponge that I got from Shop Miss A back on Black Friday. I still have my Shop Miss A haul that I need to film. Everything's still sitting in its little bag waiting for me to have time to do that. Also in my Project Use It Up is the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating Concealer, and this one I really am scraping to get anything out. But there's still stuff on the doe foot, so I'm still using it. Concealers just kind of last forever. Which really kind of gives one pause when you look at your drawer full of concealers, knowing how long it's going to take to use them up. However, I did just use up a Maybelline Instant Age Rewind that was not part of my Use It Up, but it's gone nonetheless, and so I am going to be counting it in my products used up for the first 3 months of 2022. And so that's really exciting because once this e.l.f. is gone, then I will have 2 concealers gone, and it's only the end of January. So this has been my favorite way of applying concealer lately. I put it on, I use the e.l.f. concealer brush and then the e.l.f. concealer sponge. I got these 2 as a set back in, I think it was Black Friday, they were on sale. And I use the concealer sponge dry. And what I do is I will use it on one side until it's dirty, and then I'll use the other side until it's dirty, and then I'll wash it when I'm done with my makeup so that the next day it's dry for me to use. And I have found that using it dry, it doesn't pick up as much as the concealer, and so therefore it leaves me with a little bit more coverage. Oh, and hey, did you notice I did switch my desk around so that I have the wall behind me? And let me know what you think of the light. I have a window to this side of me, and so there's light coming in here, hoping that I'm not too shaded over here. I do have a ring light on. So now I'm going to let that set down, and then I will pat the creases out before I powder, but for now I'm going to go ahead and do my eyebrows. And my favorite micro brow pencil right now is the BH Brow Designer. So this is what I would use. And I just brush my brows. I have never spent a whole lot of time on my brows. In fact, probably through most of my teens and 20s, I didn't even do my brows because I thought it looked weird. And there may be some of you out there thinking, oh honey, you need to spend a little more time on your brows. And you might be right. But on an everyday, I do them quickly, and this is what they end up like. And if I have more time, I take more time. But this is my everyday, and this is what they usually look like. So now I'm going to go into my KVD Lock-It Translucent Setting Powder. And honestly, I am surprised by how quickly this little mini is getting used up. It was completely full, and it is not completely full anymore. So I just kind of sprinkle a little on my palette. And then using the e.l.f. small tapered brush, I put just a little bit on one side of it. Grab my 10x mirror, make sure that there's no creases, and then just gently pat and flick away any extra. You don't want to use a lot of powder under your eyes, but for me, I have found that it does kind of blur and set. On the other hand, it is going to make them look drier. So you either have more creasing that you pat out through the day, or you have a little bit drier. And for me, even though my under eyes are dry with my oily skin, if I don't set, then I lose more coverage there. So it is a trade-off. And then I will take the large e.l.f. powder brush and go into what's left on my palette there and pat that across my nose and cheeks into my T-zone, and then what's left, blend out onto the rest of my face. That gives me more powder in the center of my face where I need it because I'm oily, and less on the outer part of my face where I don't need it as much. For priming my eyes, I'm going to use the I Heart color from Essence. And again, I'm really kind of scraping the sides of the container. And I'll just put that on the center of each lid. And then I'm just going to use my finger to blend that in. And I always have a tissue or a washcloth handy so that when I have too much, I can wipe off the excess. I think I had my foot touching my desk and was shaking the camera, I'm sorry. If you have too much product on your eyes for your primer, you're more likely to get creasing. All right, I'll let that set while I do my face products, and I'm going to use my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and it's really getting low. I use this little bit denser brush because I need to get into these edges and just kind of scrape some out there. I have been working on putting my bronzer just a little bit higher. Now, if you notice the hollow of my cheek, let's do it on this side where it's sunnier. The hollow of my cheek is right here. And so if I have this line kind of from the corner of my mouth to the top of my ear, I want to put my bronzer just kind of above that, almost on my cheekbone, but not really. It's still under my cheekbone, and I'm going to blend it up. And the reason I started doing this is I noticed in some of my videos that when it's down here, it almost makes it look too sunken in, and I didn't think it looked very good. So I started putting it a little higher, and I think it helps lift my face a little bit. Might just be all in my head, but I think I like it. So again, on this side, if I make that, then I'm going to put that bronzer just a little bit higher. I also will use it along my jawline to kind of create a shadow. And then kind of right here on this chicken waddle part to make that recede a little bit back up into there. And I wear bangs, so this part isn't really necessary, but I also have a really high forehead here on the sides. And so I feel like putting bronzer up there kind of helps hide that. And I started doing that more when I was having some issues with hair loss after I had COVID. And if you want to see my hair growth tips, I have a video for that. I'll post it down below. And I've had really good success regrowing my hair and kind of filling in my hairline. And so that video will be posted down below. So now I'm going to use blush, and my favorite blush that I reach for almost every day is the BH Cosmetics Truffle Blush. I know BH is going through reorganization right now, and we don't really know what's going to happen with them. Hopefully they'll come out of it. They'll still be around and still be selling stuff. They do still have items for sale on their site, and I think these truffle blushes are still there. But this is It's a vanilla cream and it does smell vanilla-y and kind of like cake, but it just has some really pretty colors in there. They're kind of cool tone pinks. I also have the chocolate cherry. They're deeper colors and they might be a little deep for me. I have to be really careful with them. So this is my favorite by far. And so now that I put my bronzer kind of a little bit up, then my blush will also go just a little bit higher. More on the apple of my cheek right there and up, and I kind of bring it up a little bit into my temple. I'm just using these two colors at the top here, mixing them together. And it is a little strong right now, but I will blend and take it down a little bit. So now I'm going to take that sponge that has that foundation on it, and I'm going to just blend all of that together. Sometimes for daily, I don't put a highlighter on, and sometimes I do. It just kind of depends. I think today I will. I'm going to use this Flower Beauty highlighter trio. This is the light version, and as you can see, I use it a lot. More this champagne-y color and the pink than the gold, but I do use the gold too. And I'm going to take a little fan brush, and I think I'll go into the lightest color. Just pick a little up and put that right on the top of the cheek on both sides. And a little right on my nose and Cupid's bow. And again with the sponge and blending so that I don't have a highlighter stripe, but just a little bit of a glow. For eyes on the daily, I tend to gravitate toward mauves and pinks, and I'm wearing this pink hoodie, so I think I'm going to go with the LA Girl Pro Mastery palette today. It's just all of these super pretty pinks and mauves, and the shimmers are gorgeous, and I just really like it. And it has that bisque color. If you watched any of my eye videos, you know that I like a palette that has this because that's the first thing I do. I have one brush. It's kind of a denser, fat brush that I use for this all the time. I'm going to make sure that I don't have any creases. And I'll go into the bisque shade, and I'm just going to pat that on the upper portion of my eye from crease to brow bone. Oh, I really need to wash my brushes. So I found one that looks like I use it for mauve colors, and I'm going to put it into my color switch and make sure that there's nothing on there. And I'm going to go into this pink shade right here for my transition. So I'll pick up some color, dab it off, and I just kind of hit the brush on my hand like that. I think I'm going to do the left eye today. I just kind of start with a dabbing motion to lay down the color where I want it, and then transition into wiggles and circles. When you have older eyes that are a little bit crepey, windshield doesn't really cut it because you end up with your brush just kind of staying in one spot and the skin moving instead of your brush moving. So kind of dabbing, patting, and wiggling works better. Circles, that sort of thing. So I am putting this in the crease and slightly above. I'm kind of going to the brow bone up here. Then I'll grab a slightly smaller fluffy brush, and I'm going to go into just a little bit deeper tone, and that will be this right here, so that I can deepen up the crease a little bit. I'm not going super dramatic or anything like that today, so this one I put more directed in the crease. I don't try to go up to the brow bone with this one. And I bring it in just a little bit on the outer corner for some depth out there. While I have this fluffy brush, I'm going to take into that mauve color again, tap it off, and then pinch the brush under the lower lash line, like that. I'm going to keep the lower lash line fairly soft, I think, today. Now, this palette gives you quite a few shimmers to choose from, and I think I'm going to go into this pink one here. So I'm just going to use my ring finger and go in and pick some up and pat that onto the lid, all over the lid. For the inner corner highlight, I'm going to use a tiny little fluffy brush, and I'm going to go into actually my highlight color in the Flower Beauty palette, this one here, and I'm just going to pop that right in the corner. When I do a lighter eye look like this, I like to use a brown eyeliner. I'm going to use the Wet n Wild 98-cent Kohl eyeliner that's huge, and line my waterline. And then I'm going to take this angled brush, and I'm going to go into the darkest color in the palette, this dark brown right here, and I'm going to simply tap it in on the edge like that, tap off the extra, and I'm going to press this right along the lash line. When I'm going from the outside in, I have it angled so that the long part is toward the outer part of the eye, and then I flip it when I'm going from the inside to the middle. Just a little tip there. And what this is going to do is it's going to deepen that area right at the base of the lashes so that when I put on my mascara, you can't see that light skin there, but it's not going to give me an actual eyeliner line above my lashes. So I don't want that today. I like to put on my setting spray before I put on my mascara and brow gel, and if I'm using it, liquid eyeliner. So I'm going to use the e.l.f. Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist. Favorite setting spray. Just repurchased it. I had used it up several months ago. Wouldn't let myself repurchase until I'd used up some other, but then it was on sale, and so I did it anyway. That is so nice. Such a fine, nice mist. I'm going to curl my eyelashes. I'll be right back. For my mascara, I'm going to use the Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect Mascara in black. It's my go-to. So what I do first is I put the wand at the base of the lashes and just kind of wiggle and then blink. Use your blink to help you put on the mascara. So you wiggle and then blink, and as you blink, you pull it away. What that does is it pulls your lashes down and away from your lid. If your eyes are open and you're trying to do that, you're going to get mascara all up in here. So, base of the lashes, blink. And it might feel weird at first, but you do get better, and you don't even realize that you're blinking after a time, but you really are. And take your time. If you end up with mascara all over your lids or your nose, I almost always will get a dot of mascara on the inside of my nose. Let it dry and then deal with it. If you let it dry, it will almost always just flake away, whereas if you try to go after it right away, it's going to smear and it's going to be really hard to get off. Okay, I have one coat on each eye, and I'm going to go in for the second coat. And again, base of the lashes, wiggle, and blink as you pull. And then just blink, blink, blink to get it on the tips of your lashes. If you want to get a little bit more into those inner tiny lashes in the center, you can turn the wand and use the tip of it and get a little more control in there. But even being careful, right now I have a dot of mascara on my lower lash line, and we'll take care of that before we wrap everything up. For my brows, I'm going to use the Essence Make Me Brow in 03. Now, I don't have a lot of lashes, and what I have are very blonde. So what I do is I just kind of get it on the lashes, and generally I will go against the grain first so that I can coat all sides of the tiny little lashes that I have, and then I will go back over them and put them the way they're supposed to lay. So my left brow has apparently decided that it needs to be the big sister today. And then, because this is my go-to look, I'm going to use my go-to lip products. I have the new e.l.f. Love Triangle Lip Pencil in, yeah, right, soft pink. And I'm going to be honest with this. I love the color, I love the formula, but the wedge shape does what every wedge shape pencil does, whether it's an eyebrow pencil, lip pencil, whatever. When you use it, it just gets round. There's no longer a sharp point and a wide point. It just rounds off. And there's no way to sharpen that edge again, so you just end up with a round lip pencil. It's a nice idea in theory. I just don't think it works very well in practice. And then my absolute favorite lip product is the Flower Beauty Naked Blush Matte. And that's all I have left. And because I just like gloss, I'm going to use the Hard Candy Plumping Serum in Cakewalk. I told you that I would show you how to deal with those mascara dots, so that's what we're going to do now before we wrap everything up. If I come in really close, you can see that I have some mascara dots here under my eye, and I might have some on my eyelids too. My eyes aren't good enough to see them. So what I do is I take my 10X mirror that came with my makeup mirror, and then I take a clean brush. This brush is specifically for this purpose. And I just gently flick at the mascara dots. Close one eye. Got a couple right here. Very gently. If you flick very gently and softly, it doesn't disturb your makeup, it doesn't mess up your eye makeup, and they just brush away. You can also use a clean spoolie to do that, but this is rougher and I just don't like the way it feels, but it also does work. And if you're a little bit older like I am, and maybe you wear contacts, maybe your eyes aren't exactly the best, it's not a good idea to spend a lot of time looking at ourselves in a 10X mirror. Nobody looks at us that way, okay? They see this picture, not the one that's in here. But for this, I think it is a good idea to take one look at yourself in that 10X mirror. Make sure you don't have those dots of mascara where you don't want them. So that's my everyday I'm not filming, but I did film because I wanted to show it to you look. And I like to wear color during the week too when I go to work, but more often than not, this is what I end up with. And it's not always the LA Girl palette. I have lots of palettes that I can get this look out of. And so that's why I have them, because this is the look I like, and I like variety, even though it's not really variety. If you have more than a couple palettes, you know what I'm talking about. If you like Get Ready With Me's and you want to see some more, then check out that playlist right there, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.